Okay, it's October 16th, 11 o'clock. We'll call to order the City of Brainerd Personnel and Finance Committee. We'll start with introductions.
Terry, Ward 1.
Alderman at Large, Kevin Stunek.
Go ahead, Danny.
Daniel Hockey, Finance Manager.
Connie Hillman, Finance Director.
Jesse Dean, City Engineer.
Chris Schubert, HR Director.
Chris Evans, Public Utilities Director.
Nick Broyle, City Administrator.
And Gabe Johnson, Chair of the committee. We've got 10 items on the agenda today, the first of which is to accept the resignation of CSO Drew Belton. Chris?
CSO Drew Belton has submitted his resignation effective October 18th. Staff is recommending that we accept his resignation and authorize staff to begin the hiring process to backfill the position.
I so move.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? That motion carries.
I was in the middle of
A little,
a rough,
yeah.
but I agree.
Second item is update regarding arbitration with the IBEW Public Utilities Union. Chris?
So what we have for an update at this point is we have selected an arbitrator. His name is Patrick Kelly. There is a bio on the BMS website. It does look like he has experience, and hopefully that goes well. We have not selected a date yet. They are still determining availability for everyone. I'm hoping we will have that date before the packet goes out, and if so, the packet will be updated. So it was just informational at this time.
Thank you. A lot of experience. He graduated Creighton Law in 1975.
A quick question.
Yeah.
You think we'll get it before the end of the year? A date?
We are hoping to do arbitrations. They ask for November and December availability.
Okay.
So if it is December after the hearing, it's usually 30 days before,
Okay.
they usually do a post-hearing brief, and then 30 days before a decision is made. So
Okay.
it could be very close to end of
Just
year.
curious.
Or later.
Okay, any other questions or comments? No, we'll go to item number 3, approval of an MOA establishing wages for the Public Utilities Director, Public Utilities Department positions. Chris?
Yes, in 2023, we actually created 3 new positions for the Public Utilities Department. We attempted to negotiate the wages for those positions with the IBEW Local 31 Union, and during negotiations, we were not able to settle on wages during negotiations, but subsequently, we have. So in your packet is a signed MOA from the union and setting the wages for 2024 and January 1 of 25, depending on when we get the arbitration decision. There is a provision in the MOA that the arbitration decision will supersede what is noted in the information. So staff is recommending a motion to approve the MOA between the City of Brainerd and IBEW Local Number 31, establishing the wages for the Business Office Support Specialist, Facilities Custodian, and Journeyman Electrician positions.
I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Item number 4, ratify the hiring of Josh Gravel as line worker.
We received 2 more applications for our journeyman line worker position, and we have offered the position to Josh Gravel. He started with us on October 10th at step 4 of the line worker wage grid. We are recommending to ratify Josh's hiring and his step placement. I so move.
Second.
Any discussion?
Just one more comment. So with that, we also advertise for an apprentice line worker. That person is going through the pre-employment hiring process. So we should be at full staff for our line workers, hopefully by the next meeting.
That was gonna be my
Good,
question.
thank you. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Next up is ratify the hiring of Michael Habegorst as Public Works Director. Chris?
We had 3 individuals that were interviewed for our Public Works Director position. Mr. Habeghorst was offered and has accepted the position. We recommend, as the interview panel, that we ratify the hiring of Mr. Habeghorst effective November 1st, and that he be placed at step 3 of the wage grid.
I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Item number 7, approve new administrative assistant job description.
Number 6.
Oh, I skipped over 6. Item number 6, Ratify hiring of Catherine Caswell as Administrative Specialist, Public Works Department.
So as you can see, the HR department has been a little busy. We received 30 applications for the Administrative Specialist Public Works Department position and interviewed 5 individuals. We offered the position to Catherine Caswell, who will start with us on October 28th at step 4 of the Administrative Specialist Public Works wage grid. So we're recommending to ratify her hiring.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Next up is to approve the new administrative assistant job description. Chris?
City Administrator Broyles has requested that we create a new administrative assistant position that would report directly to him. We are not requesting a new FTE, just that the duties of the administrative specialist be modified appropriately. In your packet is a revised job description, and we have also included what the wage would be with the increased years of service, as well as the organizational hierarchy change. At this point, staff is recommending to approve the new job description and to authorize staff to negotiate the wage for the new position with the IBEW Local Number 31 Administrative Support Union. I'm not sure if Mr. Broyles would like to expand on this at all?
Just a couple comments, thank you. I think as the city grows, I think it's going to, we want to make sure we grow staff congruently. I want to make sure that we have a career path for our top performers. And I think this is an opportunity to prepare for some future growth that I think is coming. And this also gives us an opportunity to make some of our positions more attractive to our top performers. So I would fully support this, and I hope that the committee would concur.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? I mean, I'm going to vote in favor, but I do know on our last administrative specialist job, we had 30 applications, so I think these are pretty attractive jobs already, but I'll still support this. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. 8, discussion on franchise fees. Jesse?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the council requested that staff present this from the October 7th meeting to the P&F committee. We did include the link to the full presentation. Obviously, in the interest of time, we're not going to have the entire presentation here at the committee level. But if you'd like, I can go through some of the high points again from that presentation. Again, right now, we fund our construction through the combination of, levy bonding and special assessments, which doesn't include the utility funds. Those challenges right now, especially with the special assessment policy, is how we address mixed-use corridors and things like irregular shaped lots. But even more so, kind of the challenge of those significantly increasing costs of construction. And that special benefit, the special assessment benefit that we have to justify. But just as equally, this hits both city and property owners hard, as bonding and special assessments are expensive when you include the interest, how burdensome they can be, and then how difficult they can be to budget for. What we've seen is many cities have moved to utilizing a franchise fee model as a replacement for special assessments for funding construction projects. It is less costly and burdensome as an option for the city and for those people that do live on those projects. Overall, all users are paying for the franchise fees rather than those that live on the construction project. However, this addresses folks that utilize the infrastructure every day that don't necessarily pay special assessments or levies. So folks that are renting don't necessarily pay special assessments. They might pay it through increased rent from the property owner, or nonprofits that are not paying through the levy aren't contributing to some of those construction costs. So staff did include an example scenario showing a proposed potential franchise fee rate structure and what the difference would be for like a typical residential property, which would be significantly lower under what we had proposed in the franchise fee model. So what we've done is we've included a few different options for something the council to consider. One would be just no further action on franchise fees and just continue forward with what we have currently for funding and policies. Another one would be just no further action on franchise fees, but requesting staff to review the current special assessment policy and recommend some revisions. Or you could direct staff to continue forward with exploration of the franchise fee model for funding. And if so, we would recommend some or all of what we have for listed of options, starting with some of the public engagement stuff. We want to go out, talk to folks like our businesses, engaging like Bladeck, Visit Brainerd, a lot of our business folks, but also a lot of our residents, the folks that are going to be impacted by something like franchise fees, make sure that we have things like informational meetings to answer questions of what is a franchise fee model and how that would impact people. We want to be able to answer those questions for folks, but also gather input from them to be able to present that to the council. Things like surveys and things of that nature. Begin preparation of a framework for a policy. Obviously, it's going to be a very complicated policy, so we want to make sure that we start, because it's complicated, we want to make sure we take our time and make sure that it's done well. So we want to start that work as well. And then potentially creation of a council work group to make sure that we get the council's wishes reflected in the creation of a policy. Again, that's not necessarily an option that we need to have, but we want to make sure that we reflect the council's wishes in the creation of a policy. We don't want to create that in a vacuum by any means. So that would be something that we would recommend, is identifying a couple folks on the council to help us get some good direction that we could bring back to the council at a future time. Again, if we were exploring the franchise fees model further, that would be some of the options that we would recommend from a staff level perspective. So at this time, we're looking for direction from the council, how you'd like us to proceed.
Jesse, I'm assuming you saw the email from Matt Killian.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you address some of the bullet points? Do you have it in front of you? Otherwise, I can read them too.
Yep. Let me just pull it up really quick. Yep. Go ahead.
So the first one, the electricity and natural gas usage are not directly tied to road usage, which you've kind of explained that some folks do pay through assessments, other folks don't, but still utilize the streets in which the assessments are paid by the owners of the property. Anything you want to add to that part?
It can be. So it's a little bit different. So to your point, depends on the road user. Depends on your point of perspective. You know, obviously from a business owner's perspective, doesn't always necessarily drive the road user, depending on what your business is. Some residents, obviously that may impact as they're commuting from one spot to another. That may drive up those costs. The folks that are not living within the city limits are not going to necessarily pay those franchise fees, but they're also using our roads. So they're not always exactly tied to together, but in some instances they are. It's not going to be 100% perfect, and no model is.
Okay. Second one, the franchise fees are likely to present an unexpected financial burden for small businesses. They're already managing tight margins in the soft economy. Any comments to that?
It's not much different than folks and residents. I kind of indicated that throughout the presentation. For trying to budget when special assessment projects come in, it's a pretty high burden for folks that are seeing a pretty high increase to their property tax. So this was a recommendation that we had as a potential alternative to kind of smoothing out over a long term of what those costs could be, rather than those peaks and valleys for property tax increases through like a special assessment. Obviously, everybody shares in franchise fees versus a special assessment to those folks that are on a construction project. In my mind, at some point, we're planning to eventually touch every single street project, so that it's not just residential corridors. At some point, we have to address commercial corridors, and that includes businesses as well. So, to that point, there's an unexpected financial burden for eventually a commercial corridor, and assessments come with those as well.
And then I assume that through the committee that you were talking about, as well as garnering feedback, applying the same fee to all businesses regarding to the size or utility usage disproportionately impacts smaller operations, Matt says. Tying it to actual usage can create financial strain on businesses with lower revenue but high utility costs. So as a part of the discussion that a committee might have, for example, it could be about the size of the business and the amount of franchise fee that they pay or something like that. It's not set in stone at this point.
Exactly. All we've included here is just a quick proposal to achieve the goal of what we have of that generating the $2 million per year of what we have in the capital plan. It's very, very early, and really what we're looking for is whether or not we want to continue forward with this model and continue to explore it further and develop a process or a policy. To his point here, you can look at this in a couple of different ways, and you can craft franchise fees in a couple of different ways. You can base it on per meter, or you can base it on per usage, like a dollar per kilowatt hour. So it could be based on that. Obviously, depending on which way you go with it, it impacts folks differently. So you can make your policy however you want it, and obviously it makes a difference on how you impact it. You could also increase the fee for residents, I think you have it in the spreadsheet of how many people there are in those different groups. A smaller increase to the residential side has a much bigger impact to the dollar amount on the bottom than an increase to the commercial side or some of those other ones. So depends on how you want to craft that. If you want to lessen the cost on the commercial side, you can do that. You just balance that out with maybe a smaller increase on the residential side. I couldn't tell you right off the top of my head, but it could be that a $5 per month decrease on the commercial franchise fee might be only maybe a 25-cent per month increase on the residential side. I can't say that for sure, but it could balance out like that because of how many more meters there are on each of those ends. So it's a matter of math and trying to balance out those numbers
And
out.
that's something we'd look into if we put together a
That's what we
committee and
talked about.
continue forward.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's all I have.
Okay, so you're just looking for direction on whether to continue forward or not.
I go back and forth. I've had some emails in the last week or so since our last council meeting. Most of the emails are, take it easy, we don't want to do franchise fees, we don't want to do that. I'm not against franchise fees because I know the city's looking at ways to bring in more money. However, I think we need to get some input from the city or from the public, scheduling informational meetings, some things like that to see where they're at. I think that might help guide us some more. That's just my thought.
So you're saying continue forward, but let's get some public
I
engagement?
think at this point, I would say continue forward, but let's get some public involvement, businesses downtown, see what their feeling is, because this could impact a lot of people.
So would you say number 2 or number 3, sir?
I'd say one. Oh, no, on the bottom, I'm going.
3 and 1,
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
do we want to form a work group or?
I think the work group could be formed based on what we get for feedback. If we get more, if we don't get any feedback, this could be our work group.
Yeah, okay, so let's just start with the public engagement, and then after that, maybe move forward with some framework and a work
Correct.
group and all that. Is that a motion? Number 3,
Continue forward with exploration?
with the following option of, let's do some public engagement.
Well, the public engagement, isn't that moving forward in a sense?
Yeah,
Yes.
So do we need 3? I mean, I'm fine attaching 3.
So we'll say 3 and 1.
3 and 1?
we'll start with 3 and 1, and then maybe we'll end up at 1. And maybe we'll,
I would make that motion.
I
okay.
would second that motion.
We have a motion and a second to continue forward with exploration of a franchise fee model for funding and to move forward with public engagement and schedule informational meetings and input sessions, putting out an online survey and potentially other avenues. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Next up, consider insurance coverage rapid flashing beacon signs. Connie?
So we had it was on it was on Oak Street, I do believe, that an uninsured driver hit the RFB sign and it cost the city almost over $8,000 to repair. We looked into it. We did not have insurance for the $7,900 RFB sign. we discussed it with our local insurance and said we could do property in the open, but we wouldn't have to list each individual signs, we could just combine them. So they're estimating that if we had $100,000 in PIO coverage for the signs, it would be about $375 a year. So staff is just seeking direction on whether or not to add or not add the RFB signs as property in the open for the March 1st, 2025 renewal. This is something that we're coming with. We have about 19 signs. It is subject to a $5,000 deductible. When it is an insured driver, we do try to recover it through insurance. In this case, it was an uninsured driver. So this is just a possibility of a different way to insure our signs, and we're asking council direction.
I mean, a $5,000 deductible on a $7,000 bill doesn't seem, I mean,
Correct.
and $375 a year isn't a lot, but I don't know. I can go either way. What do you guys think?
$5,000 deductible and yeah.
Because that's what our deductible for all of our property insurance. I think it would if the cost would go up if we would lower the deductible.
Yeah, I'm on the $5,000 deductible because the repairs were only $7,900. So
That
it's,
would be covered by insurance, yes. But if we had multiple signs that got hit at one time, you know, it's just, I don't know what the level.
what
the
type of
FDIC
rampage would be happening?
I don't know.
Rampage indeed.
So, yes.
Maybe it'd be good for the full council to have a discussion on this and we just bring it forward as a, let's talk more about it as a group.
Yeah,
I like that.
we won't take any action. We'll talk about it on Monday night.
All right.
So item number 10, approve funding to be budgeted for 2025 council retreat. We're going to fund the retreat? Maybe? Nick?
So this was, thank you, committee members. This was my idea, and I just wanted to see if this is something that you guys would consider to bring before the full council. I don't think it has escaped anybody that we have an election coming up here in a few weeks. And presumably, if there are new members of council, they would be sworn in and seated in January. And I would like to get together in February as a council. I'm thinking right now, at a minimum, would be the council members and the department heads. And I'd like to get together off-site somewhere. This obviously would be a public meeting, but we would provide some type of a light snack, kind of breakfast, a lunch. We should be able to get a facility for no charge. There's several different options out there. So basically what my intent of this off-site, if the council decides to go this route, and this is very conceptual at this point, but initially my plans are fourfold, to kind of come up with an exhaustive, well-thought-out organizational vision for the city, talk about mission, vision, and values. I'd like to look at, from a kind of a holistic approach at our facilities and how we can maybe maximize how we use our facilities. And then lastly, I would like to get some strategic priorities from the council for the next year. It could be a year, it could be 3 years, it could be 2030. You know, some strategic priorities that the council would like staff to start working toward. So our request today is there's a line item in the budget for special city council special projects, and it's $28,000. I think we could probably do this event for under $1,000. I would say at the outset would be $1,500.
Stakes off the question.
But I just want to see if the committee had an interest in this, and if you have any questions, I'll be happy to address them, but that's kind of the gist of what my request today.
Oh, go ahead, sir.
I think it's a good idea. I mean, you're the new city administrator. You have a new vision. Let's move forward working on that. I would agree up to $1,000, and let's work toward that.
So my thoughts, I know we could get a qualified facilitator for this discussion through the county. We have a number of top facilitators, not in the community services department, but I'm just thinking of Jory Danielson, who is the administrative services director, is an amazing facilitator, so there would be no expense there. I would also say that I think council members could fund their own food. And then if we can get a free site, I don't think we would need to use any of the city budget, is my thoughts. I don't know what you think, council member.
Yeah, I mean, we've done things like this in the past, and we've all just bought our own Mickey subs, and I think that would be appropriate. I don't think we need to use taxpayer dollars to buy us food. But, I mean, if there's gonna be supplies needed or something, I think a small budget for Nick to be able to put together what he needs, I think is appropriate. But on the food, the council can cover their own food.
Yeah, agreed.
Steaks back on.
Listen to us, we're all agreeing today.
Steaks back on. I'll get the guy from street department to cook them.
Okay, so the motion is how much then?
Nothing,
Nothing.
as needed.
As needed. City administrator determine,
Nothing as needed.
determination by city administrator how much needs to be spent, but utilizing the
But no food.
special projects.
So we have a motion to allow the city administrator to use the council special projects funds to put together this retreat,
Buy
Yes,
chalk or paper or whatever.
except food.
and I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye, opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Next meeting, Connie?
The next meeting will be October 30th at 11 o'clock.
Wear costume.
And with that,
Wear a costume.
we're adjourned. Yeah, please do.